Broncos country, we are fresh off of a bye, man. I hope you guys are all nice and rested after a very, very, very chill Sunday, at least for me. And I hope it was the same for you, man. And something that happened over the bye week that I was super excited about was the fact that Wil Lutz, our kicker, got a very well deserved extension. I'm a big sucker for kickers. You guys know that. I made a separate video talking about that. But it wasn't just the move itself that I thought was so good, it's the fact that this front office continues to pay their own and to do it at any time of the season, before, in the middle of the season, whenever, as long as they're building the right culture. And I love that they continue to do that with Wil Lutz with a 3-year extension. And that's a 3-year extension after the season. So nothing was changed in terms of his current contract this year. So good for him, man. What an unbelievable career for him, making as much money as you do to be a kicker. It's awesome, but it's a kudos to him, and it's awesome. And it's really good for the Broncos to have a player like him in a league where so many times, so often, you see, you see teams really struggle to find good kickers. So it was awesome, and you can add him to the list of a bunch of guys that we've paid, a bunch of our own, man. I mean, look at across the roster. I'm probably gonna miss some guys, but you're talking Quinn Miners, Jonathan Cooper, Garrett Bowles, Nick Bonito, Pat Surtain. Who else? I feel like there's a bunch more. Cortland Sutton, right? Every single year. It's a constant. It's a constant thing. And you can add Wil Lutz to that list. And I know that there's more that I'm missing. But let's add one more to this list, guys. We need to add one more to this list. Per Mike Kliss. Besides Lutz, Payton said they've talked to others about a new contract deals. Key unrestricted free agents are Franklin Myers, Wattenberg, Singleton, Troutman, Sternad, and Roach. He said, there are a few other players that we know we reached out to, and I think the key is communication aspect of it all. I agree. There's one guy, listen, I'd like to sign a lot of these guys back, to be honest with you. Some of them I wouldn't really care too much. But there's one guy that we have to have a conversation about that absolutely 100% needs to get re-signed ASAP. And that person is none other than John Franklin Myers. Man, this guy's been one of the most underrated players on our defense. Nobody's really talking about him, but all he's done this year is make plays. You're talking about 18 quarterback hurries. You're talking about 5 sacks. But aside from the stats, man, this is somebody that is consistently making plays. You see it all the time. He's always in the backfield. He brings such a good energy. He's so relentless. And, he could have sat there and pouted. I mean, he did pout a little bit on social media about, wanting to get paid, blah, blah, blah. But he really didn't make it that big of a deal. All he did was put his head down and keep working. And this is somebody that hasn't really gotten that big NFL contract. He's got a decent one going right now, but he ends up getting traded. I feel like he's always had this chip on his shoulder that he's felt disrespected. And he's gotten so much better since he's been here in Denver. And I get it, guys. Like, I really do. We drafted Savion Jones to kind of maybe be the heir apparent to JFM, so he could be somebody really good. But one thing that this offseason has taught me, and I think it should teach a lot of Bronco fans, is that continuing to build in the strength of your team is incredibly important. You saw it, they drafted Jahdae Barron with the first pick, and everyone's talking about how deep we are at corner, but then you see the fruits of those labors, start to benefit us. PS2 goes down, and we didn't really miss too much of a beat. We're still able to win really big games, go 3-0 in his absence. You know what I mean? And then you add it to the edge room, consistently adding to the edge room. And you see the kind of player that Jonah Ellis has been for us, in addition to Bonito and Jonathan Cooper, and obviously with what Dondre Tillman's doing as well. You have a strength of the football team. Keep it going. This is still a player. He's only 29 years old. He'll be 30 before next season. But he's really been an ascending player, similar to Zach Allen. Add him, right? I forgot about him earlier, but Zach Allen had signed that big contract. People were worried about his age, but all he's been doing is getting better and better. And I think John Franklin Myers has been a phenomenal player. I think you should definitely get him done now because he is going to get a bag in the offseason if we don't end up re-signing him. So not only would you be able to keep one of your own, but I think you could do so at a reduced rate compared to if you were going to wait until the offseason. And listen, there could be a really good chance that Savion Jones ends up being a hell of a player. He could end up being a player even better than John Franklin Myers, right? But my thing is, A, why risk it? You already got this guy on your roster. And B, if there's ever an injury, that's only going to be a positive. So I think that you should continue to invest in your guys. And I truly believe that John Franklin Myers is somebody on this team that has really, really deserved it. And I think we should get it done now, man. Would he do it? Is he willing to take it? Or does he want to play out the rest of the season? That I don't know, but his versatility is something that really sticks out to me, man. And he's constantly making plays, and people don't realize the reason that we are leading the league in sacks, and the reason that we've been so elite on the edge with Cooper and Benito and Ellis and Tillman is because the guys in the middle are opening things up, and they're making it a lot easier. And John Franklin Myers is also a part of that, in addition to obviously Zach Allen, who in my opinion is elite. So the biggest strength of this team, the biggest reason that the Broncos are 9-2 is because the offensive line and the defensive line are by far and away our strengths. We have an elite offensive line. We have an elite defensive line. And our defense as a whole is elite. But it starts with the guys up front, always, always. So I'm a big proponent of keeping that in line, and you continue to draft and you develop on the offensive side of the ball as needed. Broncos got the cap space to be able to do it. I think we should get it knocked out. I'm curious what you guys think, man. Let me know below if you would look to extend John Franklin Myers. Other guys that were on that list too that we can talk about, right? They talk about Luke Wattenberg. I am of the camp of absolutely not. You can upgrade to that position. You can draft and you can develop there. You need to, in my opinion, there as well, especially because you got one of the highest paid guards. You've got 2 highly paid tackles. If you want to keep the highly paid tackles, at least the right tackle in McGlinchey, then you've got to go a little bit cheaper. But you could also very much upgrade from Luke Wattenberg, in my opinion. And you might even have somebody on the roster that's ready to be the upgrade. But not a big fan of necessarily extending Wattenberg. Singleton, I think he's proven to a lot of us here in Broncos country that he's a very valuable player for this team, whether he's a starter or not. Yes, he has some shortcomings, but man, is he loved in this organization, is he loved by his teammates. And I think Broncos country should really love him too. So I would be all about bringing Singleton back. Adam Troutman, I would say no, but listen, you kind of know where it's going to go with him, right? You kind of know where it's going to go with Adam Troutman. Sean Payton loves him, and he's been better over the last few days, I would say, last few games, I would say. But still, our tight end room needs significant upgrades in general. So Troutman's not going to break the bank. He's a Sean Payton guy, and he could be a 3rd or 4th or 5th tight end for you, whatever, and bring you a lot of value there. Justin Sternad, that's an interesting conversation because there's a lot of reasons for yes, and there's maybe some reasons for no, depending on what the structure that looks like. But he's somebody that's interesting. And then Malcolm Roach, man, I think yeah. But listen, if you take care of John Franklin Myers, then I think you could potentially look at moving on from Malcolm Roach, but his contract's not going to be very big. He's such a good depth piece. Sean Payton obviously loves him. His teammates love him. He's such a good depth guy. But Ioma Wazirike, he is someone that has taken that next step for you, And then Savion Jones is waiting in the wings. So the Savion Jones, Ioma Wazirike conversation, I think affects someone like Malcolm Roach maybe more than John Franklin Myers. But love to know what you guys think, man. Let me know below. Hope you all have a wonderful day. And be sure, man, tune in tonight. Horsepower Hour, baby. 8 p.m. Mountain. We got a fun show locked and loaded for you. Hope to see you guys there. Peace.